several different mailings before you find one that's successful. Sometimes you'll have to do 5 mailings. So let's say you can get 5,000 names. One of the things you do is then you send 1,000 letters with a different mailing, a different offering, maybe even a different price point to each of those 1,000 people. And you find out which letter, which offering, which price point draws the greatest number of responses. Then, the next 5,000 people, you send 5,000 of that letter to that group of people. But always in direct mailing, the rule is test, test, test. Radio advertising can be an effective method of sales. Many companies use this in conjunction with other advertising. But in order to do radio advertising, you must be able to write excellent sales copy that appeals to an immediate need of your ideal customer. Remember this, customers' memories are very short. What they do is they hear a message, and only if they're in the market now do they respond now. So you must identify the immediate need that your customer has and mention that clearly and in an attractive way in your radio message. Your radio sales message must explain the problem or need that your product or service solves or satisfies. Tell the listener why your solution is the best available and call for immediate action of some kind. That's very important. Always put in a request for action. Call now. Come in now. React now. Go to our internet now. But always ask the customer at the end of the radio advertisement to do something. Now, the key to radio advertising is to test your messages continually until you have a good sales message that triggers immediate responses and triggers immediate telephone calls and sales from a target audience. You can write your advertising copy yourself, or the radio station can do it for you. But in the final analysis, trust your own instincts. Sometimes the person who writes the copy will not have a good sense for what you do. Sometimes they will. Be prepared to advertise several times in an advertising campaign on the radio and advertise different messages, and then test and see how quickly people respond to a particular message. Now, television advertising can also be a very effective method of sale. Advertising on television requires a clearly focused message on a single product or service. Many television advertisements, by the way, are very confusing. You're not even quite clear what it is they want you to buy or what they want you to do. The television message must be focused on the emotions of the prospective buyer. They must be focused on how he or she feels or will feel when they buy your product or service. Television advertising must be quick, spontaneous, and connect with a need that the person has, and then suggest that your product or service can give the satisfaction of the need that the customer wants. Good television advertising brings immediate responses in terms of phone calls or personal visits or the sales of the product through retail outlets. Remember, television advertising is not something cumulative, like we'll run it this week and this month and it'll bring us sales later on. Good television advertising appeals to the impulse nature of people. It causes people to act immediately or within 24 hours. In television advertising, your people and company must be prepared to service and sell the customers when they call or visit. I've seen all kinds of examples where a very successful promotion is put out and so many customers come in or call that the company has no capacity to deal with them. So if you're going to run a successful television advertising campaign, make sure that you can satisfy those customers when they call. Now, the next method of selling is newspaper advertising. It can be a very effective method of selling your product or service to a large number of customers, especially if you're selling sort of a mass market product in a mass market where your customers are spread all over the place. Here's the key. Your headline must capture attention instantly by answering 2 questions. Question number 1 is, what's in it for me? In other words, what's the key benefit I'm going to get if I read the rest of this advertisement? And the second question that people want to know the answer to is, why should I pay attention to your ad? In other words, what need will this satisfy? Why should I read your ad rather than someone else's ad? And remember, in newspaper, there are thousands of ads, and yours has to pop. This brings us back to what we said earlier about the importance of your headline.